my name's Annette, and you may know me as Nettersplays, and today I'm going to go over my acquisitions and impressions for the month of November. Now, this is going to be a long video, so fair warning. And if you want to skip ahead, you're more than welcome to. I have timestamps down below, but what I'm going to go over are the games that I acquired, give you my first general thoughts of them. I'll go over the games that I didn't play in the beginning of the video, and then give you my opinions on those, followed by the games that I actually did play. So this month I acquired a lot of games because I went to BGG-Con, I went to Haiti-Con, I acquired a lot of games from both of those conventions, and also I acquired a lot of Kickstarter games that started arriving. So this is going to be a mega video, but let me start off with the games that I did not get to play and just give you my general thoughts on those. I'll go over is called Tybor the Builder, which is another Alexander Pfister card game, just like Oh My Goods. And this game is also very small and compact, and it exists in that same world. Now, this game is not an expansion, it's its own game. And what it offers is kind of like a storyline on what happened in the world of Oh My Goods. So I picked it up not knowing necessarily what it's all about, but I knew it's an Alexander Pfister game, so I'm all in. And the cool thing about this game is, in that same world, it is another draw card game, and also pick and choose what you want to build as far as your tableau is concerned, do the action, and then pass the remaining cards to your opponent. It's another drafting game. So I'm really interested in what Alexander Pfister has to offer in this card game that's dealing with drafting and tableau building. So besides that, I don't know too much else about this game, and I'm really eager to explore more. So another game I also managed to pick up but not play is called Shadows of Kyoto. And my first initial impression was that the artwork looks great. And I found out that it's a hidden movement game for only 2 players. So I wanted to check that out some more, and I didn't manage to play it. However, I did watch the One Tars video where Tiffany and Steve actually got to play the game, and they read the rules and played it within half an hour. So it's a fairly quick and easy game to find and play with your partner or with anyone else. So I'm really eager to play this game, however, I just haven't had the chance to. So this next game was completely out of my radar, and I've never heard of it before. In fact, it was Mitch that brought it to my attention, and this game is called Jungli-La. Now, Jungli-La is by the designer Hisashi Hayashi, and that's the main reason we got this game. My initial impression was that the artwork wasn't so great. It didn't look very appealing at all to me, but we purchased it anyway, and we thought, hey, let's give this a shot. It's a small little card game. We like the designer. Let's see what he has to offer. So opening the box, we found out it's a dice rolling game, also with cards. And what you're doing is, everyone is an explorer, and we're all trying to go ahead and find this hidden temple with all these riches of the land. So whoever reaches it first is the winner. But what you're doing along the way is you're exploring the jungle, and also you're rolling dice and collecting these different resources along the way. So we haven't played it yet, and the artwork isn't so great, but I'm still interested in finding out more about this game, and that is Jungli-La. So the next couple of games are expansions to games that I already like. And the first one I'll talk to you about is called Venus Next. Now, Venus Next is the expansion to Terraforming Mars, and I really love that game. So, what does this have to offer that's expanded into that world? And the basic thing is that it comes with more cards. This is what I really wanted from the expansion, because I think the game is all about those cards. The artwork isn't so great, but the ideas that come from the cards and what you're doing with them and interacting with them, building your tableaus based on it, makes the story come out in the game. So I was really thrilled to hear that this expansion was going to offer more cards. So not only did it offer more cards to play with, it offered new starting cards, new corporation cards. It also offers new milestones too. And also this small little mini board for the Venus Next expansion. So I'm not too familiar what each modular expansion does for the game, but I'm really looking forward to explore more of this expansion. So the next expansion is to another game that I also love, and that expansion is Foray. Now, Foray is an expansion to Morels, which is a mushroom game. It's a game about going into the forest and picking and choosing which mushrooms to take home so you can cook them up later. And I really love that game. It's a 2-player only game. However, Foray expands that world. So now you can play it as a solo game, and you can play it up to 4 players too. So what this expansion offers are more cards to play with, it offers new cards to play with, and also it offers a first player marker, which is absolutely fantastic. The actual designer made this first player marker, which is a mushroom, out of a nut. He dremeled and handcrafted this first player marker, which is absolutely ridiculous, but I totally love it. And so that was one of the main reasons that I backed this game. Also, there's a bag in there that was screen printed. I don't know, just the whole game itself, I absolutely love the theme and I had to expand it. And that's why I picked up Foray. So the last expansion that I picked up is called the Isle of Skye Journeyman expansion. Now, I absolutely love the Isle of Skye. I think it's a great game and I love introducing it to gamers all the time. The cool thing about the Journeyman expansion is that it makes it a little bit more dense. So it's a little bit heavier because you're trying to do more with the world that you're building. You're building these tableaus and by laying these tiles down and you're building this world, however, you're scoring on them in the regular game. But in Journeyman, you actually have a pawn that travels about the whole world that you're creating. You're picking up these different resources, moving along this track, and then you're trying to gain more bonuses, which will help you throughout the game. And that's what I really like about this, because it's not just an add-on to a great game, but it actually expands the world even further and makes it a little bit more complex too. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this game. So the first game I'll talk to you about is this game called Bottlecap Vikings. Now, Bottlecap Vikings is a game that we managed to pick up from BGGCon for just being there. The reason we picked this game up was because, first off, it's small and compact, so it's easy to pack up in your bag and take with you for traveling. Another reason we got it was because it has a rondelle system on it. So I wanted to see what that's all about in this small box game. Now, in the gameplay itself, you're going to move your little player token around this circle, this rondelle, and do certain actions on them. What you're trying to do on your own player board is you're trying to upgrade your house. And so your house can be upgraded if it has a certain amount of goods. So you're moving up and you're gaining benefits, but the game is pretty much over in a matter of like 20 minutes. The game was super quick and easy to pick up, and at the end of it, we weren't really impressed with the game. Unfortunately, it was a little too simple for us to play. So this game, I think, is more or less for people that are really getting into the world of gaming and trying to figure out if these games are for them as far as resource management and rondelles. But unfortunately, it was just a little lackluster for us. So that is Bottlecap Vikings. The next game is called 10-Minute Heist, The Wizard's Tower. Now, this game I managed to play like a couple months ago. Someone brought it over, and I wasn't too impressed with it because I thought, oh, it's a small little box game. I don't know about this game. And actually, it won me over. I really liked it because everyone was really involved with the game. What you're doing is you have these cards which have different goods that you're trying to steal. And so what you're doing is you're moving from one row to another row, and you're moving up to the top of this castle where all the goods are great. And you're stealing these cards, you're drawing these cards from the actual tableau that you have there. And everyone can pick and choose what they want. They can move ahead, but they can never move back. And what you're trying to do is collect either the same color type, or you're trying to collect the same value type. And then at the very end of the game, whoever has like the most of the certain color or certain value will get bonus points. So you never know when someone else is going to steal the one that you want, or if you're going to take something from someone else. So the game is really fun and interesting, and so we went to BGGCon, we saw it there, and we picked it up because we had a lot of fun with it. So another small box game that was actually given to me at BGGCon is called Songbirds, or before it was translated, it was called Bird Fight. Now this game was given to me by Nicholas. Hi Nicholas! So thank you so much for giving me this game because one, it's all about birds. Now, the theme alone is just great, and it's so cute too. I love the little cards with the little birds in different positions and kind of cuddling with one another and such. So it's a cute and adorable game. So the first thing is artwork is great. Component quality too. Another thing about this game is that the mechanism involved is really interesting because you have this deck of cards that you hand out, mostly all the cards to everyone. You pretty much have a hand of cards and you play one card on your turn. Now to play the card, you can play it anywhere on the board as long as it's touching a previous card that's in the middle. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to make these columns and rows, and it will all be filled out, and at the end of the game you're going to score the columns and rows. Now you're going to score the column based on who has the most of a yellow or a green or a blue and such. So if there's the most number of value of a red in one row or column, then you'll get to score that if you have a red card in your hand at the end of the game. So that's the important part because you will only score based on that last card you have in hand, which is the one you will not play into the board, into the middle. So everyone's pretty much making a bet on what will have the most at a certain column or row. And that's what makes the game interesting. It doesn't necessarily click at first, but in the middle of the game when you're realizing that you're going to stay with one card in the end, that's when the game is really interesting. And I really loved it for that fact. It was a game that I actually didn't expect too much of, but it was a lot of fun. So definitely 2 big thumbs up for Songbirds. So another small box game that I also got this last month is called Hanamikoji. Now Hanamikoji is a 2-player card game, and I gifted this game to Mitch for his birthday because I thought it was something he would really like because of the artwork itself. It's based in old Japan, and the artwork and the quality in this game is just really beautiful. And also the other thing is that the gameplay is really great for 2 players. It's super quick too. So in this game, you have these cards in the middle. And it kind of reminds me of Battle Line in a way, because you're trying to win over these cards in the middle. If you have a certain amount that you won over, you win the game. However, in order to do something, to play and achieve those cards, you have to play these cards from your hand. First you draw a card, and then you pick an action that you're going to do. You have only 4 actions. You're only going to play 4 times per round. When you're done with your 4 actions, then you compare notes with your opponent and see who wins each card that's in the middle. And so this game is very tactical. It's really interesting with the decisions it offers, and it's very quick and easy to pick up and play. So that's why I really enjoyed Hanamikoji. So a Kickstarter game finally came, and that is Kokoro. Now, Kokoro is based off of a previous game that I love called Avenue, and it places it in the Queendomino world of the tree spirits. So Kokoro is a game that is pretty much the same as Avenue, where you're trying to build these different routes and draw these lines and tracks all over this grid system. And the thing is, you don't know what you're drawing until you turn over a card. You have this deck of cards that you're turning over one at a time, and it's going to tell you what route type you get to draw. And the thing is, you never know what's coming up next, nor do you even know when the round is over until you draw 4 yellow cards. The game is quite simple. I've been loving it since I got Avenue last year, and Kokoro actually makes it a little bit better because it has a base game of Avenue, but it has the artwork that is absolutely fantastic because it has little caterpillars and little flowers and spirits and such. So it's really cute to look at. It also offers a backside board. And so on the backside board, it's different. So you have a different map. You also have a die that you can roll to figure out where those tree spirits are located at the beginning of the game. So it's variable too. Another cool thing is that Kokoro also expands that game by creating these different methods of scoring and also different ways of playing with the cards. So it has different cards where it's actually like an expansion to the game. So I'm definitely keeping Kokoro over Avenue because it just expands the world and it's just so much cuter too. So this next game was actually given to me by Unplayed Games, and so you can take that however way you want, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion about these next two games. Now this game is called Einstein, and the first thing that really interested me in this game was the fact that this was based off of a famous physicist. I'm actually a physicist too, so I'm really interested in the theme of this game. That's what first called me. The artwork is also really great and the component quality too. So this game, every player is going to play pretty much a certain point in the life of Einstein, whether it be young Einstein or middle-aged Einstein or old Einstein and such. So you play different points of his life. And what you're trying to do is you play these tiles into a main area where everyone else is going to build onto. Sort of like Carcassonne in a way. And so you are trying to place these shapes into the middle in order to score points from the cards you have in hand. So if you have certain tiles that you're adding into and building upon, if it meets the criteria of a card in hand, you get points. However, if you use tiles that have previously been placed by other players, then they will also get a point too. So you're adding into this world of thought that everyone else is adding into, and I really like the theme too of that. Another thing that I was really impressed with though is on the actual cards it has little fun facts of Einstein, like he was married to his cousin and such, which is absolutely disgusting, but it's there. So I really thought that the quality of the artwork, the fun facts, and the way of you playing into the center by using other players' tiles was really interesting. This game is very casual. It's not something that's going to hurt your brain at the end. It's just a simple casual game. And I actually, in fact, really liked it. So that's the game of Einstein. So the next game was also gifted to me by Unplayed Games, and that is Tesla vs. Edison Duel. Now this game is a 2-player only game, and also it's another casual game. So it's not something that's going to hurt your head, but me being a scientist, I was definitely interested in this game as well because of the theme. So what I really liked about it is the information that's there. So the fun facts of these different character cards that you're playing. I really liked how it also incorporated women into it, and women of color, and also people of color as well. So it's a very diverse kind of group of players that were actually there in the history books too. And it was placed in the game itself. So that I really liked. What you're trying to do in the game is you're trying to buy these different cards, build into stocks, and then win over these certain cards that are in the middle by having the most amount of cards on your side of a certain type. And so you're basically building these sets, you're trying to win over these cards in the middle, you're also doing these different actions in order to score the most amount of points, and you play through 3 different rounds. It's really interesting. It's a fun tug-of-war game between players. Another cool thing about the game is that you're actually drafting cards too, so you're picking and choosing which cards you're going to have to play, and then you're giving the rest of them to your opponent. So you more or less know what they could potentially play too. So the game itself, I thought was a very casual, lighter game for 2, but it also, because of the theme element, and I love the science aspect of it, it actually was a pretty fun game as well. So this next game I picked up from BGG Con, and that is Harvest Island. Now, Harvest Island is a game that I absolutely love the artwork for. I love the cover art, I love the artwork of the cards and the tokens and everything inside of it. I just absolutely fell in love with. The gameplay itself is a casual card game where you're trying to collect different sets. It's very casual because it's so random. You never know what's going to be drawn from these decks. You're playing through this whole year on this island, and throughout the year, these different seasons, certain fruits come about. And so what you're trying to do is collect these fruits from the main area in order to plant them in your field, eventually harvesting them and scoring those points. And so this game itself is very casual, it's fairly light, and it's fun. Actually, I played this game with Mitch, and we were both after these different fruits. I was really enjoying the artwork as I was playing these cards, and these little token figures that you're trying to win over. I was really battling for those because some of them were just so adorable to look at. So either way, it's a very casual game. It's not going to beat your head over with the decision making or anything. It's pretty obvious what you should do at certain points, and also it's really random with what is drawn at certain times because the weather can change in this game too. So certain things will just go ahead and randomly be drawn and then kind of trash out certain fields that you've been working on for a long time. So this game is just really light, fun, casual game that you might enjoy besides looking at that beautiful artwork. So another beautiful game that I also picked up from BGG Con is called Favelas. Now, Favelas is a game by Chris Bryan, which he's been talking about this game and making it for so long, and finally it's published and in mostly everyone's hands, so I'm really proud of him. The cool thing about this game is that it's actually interesting. It's not just me helping and supporting someone, it's actually a really fun game. Now, this game is a tile laying game. However, it's a little different than most other tile laying games because when you lay tiles, you're usually expanding out on this middle area or on your board or whatever. However, in this one, you're just expanding by layering these tiles on top of one another. And the interesting part of this game is that it's so colorful. You have these different colors that you're trying to manage. And at the end of each round, there's 3 of them, you're trying to compare notes with other players. So it makes it a little bit more interactive. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect a certain amount of colors based on the values they'll be scored for. You roll these dice, and then those dice will set the value of those certain color types. So the cool thing is you can change the number of certain types of colors, and you can also change the value of the dice too, which is going to tell you how much you're going to score each color for. It's really interesting. It's a lot thinkier than I actually thought. It's really interesting decision making in this game. I really liked it a lot, so you should definitely check out Favelas. And another game I also picked up from BGG Con is actually an expansion and a standalone of a game that I really love, and that is Queendomino. Now, Queendomino is a standalone game, but you can also expand it with Kingdomino to play with 8 players or make it a little bit more interesting. This game is definitely a gamer's game, so it kind of upped the level to Kingdomino. Now, Kingdomino is fairly light and simple. I can introduce that game to pretty much anyone, and I haven't received any bad notes from anyone about it. So Queendomino is supposed to make it a little bit more interesting or heavier with decisions. So not only are you trying to build up your world by laying these tiles down and collecting them and figuring out turn order and all that, but you also have this other market system that you're working with. You have these little knights that you have that you can apply them into your lands to gain money. And so you gain money in this game, you buy different tiles to score differently on your area than others, and it just ups the level of Kingdomino. I thought it was really interesting and really fun. I wish I could play it some more so I can, figure out what best strategies there are, but I mean, either way, it's Queendomino. Kingdomino is great. I'm sure Queendomino is great too. So the first big box game that I'll talk to you about is Ex Libris. Now, Ex Libris is a game that I've been wanting for a long time because since I first heard about it, the theme is what interested me the most. The theme is all about you being a librarian and collecting all these different books, putting them into your library, and whoever has the best collection at the end of the game wins. However, those books that you're collecting, you have to manage by placing them in alphabetical order in these different rows. So that's a little bit more challenging part of the game. Now, this game is just a little bit more than just that example. There's a lot going on because you have these different actions tableaus that you can do. That is one of my gripes though in the game. I wasn't too familiar with the action boards or the tableaus that where you're placing your meeples on because the artwork is great. However, the little font size, I just could not read for the life of me. I was clear across the table. Actually, I was right in front of them, but they're just so small that it was really hard for me to look over and know what I'm doing because I didn't want to be obvious with my turn. So besides that, great. The game itself was great. I played this at BGG Con. Eric from What's Eric Playing, he taught this game to me, which I'm really thrilled that I got to play this game with them because I always have fun playing with them. But Ex Libris turned out to be really fun. I really love the little titles to the books. I love the interaction between players and the cards you're taking from this giant stack of cards that you have in this game. And so it creates a lot of variability. And I'm really looking forward to exploring more of this game. So speaking of exploration, the next game is all about it, and that is The Quest for El Dorado. Now, The Quest for El Dorado is a game I just casually picked up at the store, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought, okay, well, this was a contender for the Spiels des Jahres, and you know what, let me go for it. And it actually really surprised me because in this game, what you have is you have a deck builder mixed with a racing game. And so what you're trying to do in this game is, first off, you have this map that you build, and it's double-sided, modular, and you can make this map however way you want. That's a big kicker. Like, that creates so much variability from game to game. The second thing is, it's a deck builder, which I love. So you have these different cards that you can acquire and build your deck on, and those cards, whenever you play them, they'll let you move forward on the map depending on what you played, whether it being like a jungle card or like a river card or I don't know, something like that. However, you're trying to make the best deck in order to explore and run through the map as fast as possible. So in this game, what you're trying to do is reach the end of the map before your opponents. Now, I played this game with all player counts, and it's absolutely great. I think my favorite player count was for 2 players because in 2-player game, what you're trying to do is you have 2 meeples that you're in charge of. So you're trying to get both of them to the end of the line or end of the map as fast as possible. So you have to manage both meeples. And so I thought that was really fun because it creates more of a challenge because you're not sure which one to pick until you draw your hand. And hopefully you can go through and draw the right cards and move through as fast as possible by also avoiding your opponent and he's blocking you. And so it's really fun. It's really interesting. I had a blast with this game. I actually recommend this game to anyone. So this next game I acquired at BGG Con, and that is Rajas of the Ganges. Now this is a game that wasn't necessarily on my radar. I heard about it, but I wasn't sure if I really was interested in it until I saw a demo of the game. I had this person that was at the booth and he explained the game to me so well that I instantly grabbed the game after his explanation and purchased it because I thought this would be a great fit for myself and Mitch. So this game is another racing game, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your fame and your money, and you're trying to go on 2 sides of the board. So you're going one side clockwise, you're going with the fame, and counterclockwise with your money that you've acquired. And once those two meet on the track, that means the game is over. So if one player meets it, he won or she won. And that's that. There's no second or third place or anything like that. The person won. And so in this game, what you're doing is you're rolling these dice and you're performing these actions. It sort of reminded me of Alien Frontier in a way, because you're using what you've rolled and you're placing them onto these different areas like a worker placement, and it's a racing game, just like that. It's a little bit more interesting in the fact that it also is dependable on the colors of dice that you have, and also you're building a tableau area. So you're picking up tiles and you're building onto this map as well. So it's a little bit more interesting in that sense. So I really liked it. I played it once with Mitch and I did really good. And then he wanted a rematch instantly, so we played it again. And we played it with the advanced level, and I won again. But it was actually more interesting in the advanced level. So definitely interesting enough to start with the advanced level. So if you purchase this game, just go ahead and start with the advanced level, because that makes this game far more interesting than just the base game. So the next game I'll talk to you about is called Santa Maria. Now, Santa Maria is a game that I acquired at BGGCon, and the game itself has a theme of colonization with missionaries and a lot of bad stuff. However, the designers actually approached it and they made a historical note in the game itself. So very, very good. I thought that was a big kudos to them for actually acknowledging the theme. Now, the reason I actually acquired this game is because I didn't think I would get it anywhere else. This game just came out on Essen, and I was able to get it there at BGG. And also because it's from the same designers of Avenue and also Capital Lux, which I love those two games. So I acquired this one because it was from them, and also because I thought the game mechanisms involved were really simple and interesting. And so the rulebook was really quick and easy to go through. It was only a few pages long. There's only 4 actions you can do in the game. And so on your turn, it just goes by so quickly. I managed to read the rules, play my first game, and be done with it within an hour. That's how fast it went for us. The game is filled with a lot of interesting decisions. So what you're doing is you have this tableau, this map that you're building on this grid system, and what you're trying to do is you have these polyhedral like tiles, and you can place them onto your map board. So that's one thing you could do on your action. You could purchase some tiles to expand your map. And another thing you could do is you can actually activate the tiles on your map. So you can activate it by placing money on it, or you can activate it by acquiring a die that you roll at the beginning of the game. So you're dice drafting with other players. You're activating the dice by putting it down a column and activating all those buildings in that column. So you can expand your map by placing more buildings, and then you can activate them by acquiring more resources. It's really interesting. It's not too hard to explain once you have the game in front of you, and the gameplay I thought was fairly quick. I've only played it with 2 players. I've played it about 3 times. It's always been quick and easy. I could see with more players there being an issue with AP or analysis paralysis, but definitely I thought this game was a really big hit for me. That is Santa Maria. So this next game I was really looking forward to playing and acquiring, and I picked it up at BGGCon, and that is Merlin. Now Merlin is, or actually was, my favorite game that I was looking forward to from Essen. And so I picked this up mainly because of the designer, which is Stefan Feld. He's my favorite designer of all time. But he co-designed it with Michael Reineck, which is also the designer of Pillars to the Earth, which I've never played before. But them two combined to make this one game, I just thought I had to have it. And I did. I got it. So it was actually the first game I played. I remember going to BGGCon and I walked into this room with this game, and someone My friend Daniel, he actually saw me and was like, let's play that right now. I know how to play it, let me teach you. And so, yeah, he taught us the game. We played a 3-player game of it, and it was absolutely awesome. Like, I really loved this game. I know it's been getting lots of mixed reviews. However, I think it's a game that I like. That's all that's important. So let me give you the reasons why I like it. Now, this game is not as heavy as, say, Luna or Trajan or anything like that. It's a little bit more on the lighter side. But what you're trying to do is you have this big circular board in the middle, and you have this one meeple of your color type, and you're trying to move that one meeple only clockwise. And that is dictated by dice. So you have 4 dice. You have like 3 of your color and 1 white die. That 1 white die is pertaining to Merlin, who is also moving around the board, which every player can control. And he doesn't move just clockwise, but he also moves counterclockwise. So you never know where he'll be positioned at next. So there's a lot of randomness with the die values. And people have been stating that, oh, it's not fair because of the die roll and because you can't mitigate the dice. However, I found no problem whatsoever with it because, yeah, it's based off of die rolls, but you can mitigate where your position is of that meeple, and you can mitigate it by collecting different banners, which give you special movement actions of your meeple type. So, I mean, as long as you invest into those type of things, like the banners, then you'll be able to manipulate it. You don't just need to get those apples. You can manipulate your position by the banners. Case solved. In my opinion, that's the case solved. So another cool thing about this game is that you're trying to, you only score, I think, like 6 times. Or you only play like 3 rounds. You score 6 rounds and you score 3 times. But you're also playing along the sideboard, which was really interesting because it is actually an area control portion to the game. Also, you're trying to collect these different cards which are available for everyone. You get to accomplish these contracts or cards by obtaining certain things that you acquire on the board. And so this game is just filled with actions and things that you can score with, which is what I really love from Stefan Feld. There's so many different interesting decisions. Yes, it's based off of a die roll, but I mean, there's ways to mitigate it. And so I think I really love this game. I think you should give it a fair chance. Check it out if you like. I know the price is high. I think it's like $100 right now from Queen Games, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. However, because I'm a fan, I just felt like I had to get it now. So definitely, if you get a chance, if someone you know has it, try it before you buy it. So now I'm going to go over probably my favorite game I picked up this last month, and that is called Altiplano. Now, Altiplano is probably my dream game because I've always wanted to be an alpaca farmer and feel like I'm kind of, you know, managing some resources, getting some alpacas, shearing them, making some wool and stuff. That's what you do in this game, except it's a little bit more abstract than that. What you're doing in this game is, it's a bag builder. It's from the same designer as Orleans. And I love that game, so I knew I would love this game too, based on that game mechanic. And so what you're doing is, you're reaching into a bag and you're pulling out these different resources, and then you're making plans on those resources to go out into the world and trade and do some stuff with them. What you're doing is, you're doing all these trades. However, the thing that makes this different than Orleans is that you have these different Altiplano locations, and you're trying to move from one Altiplano to another with your little meeple. So you can't do all the actions unless you can be at a certain location. And so that's the interesting part with Altiplano. Another cool thing about it is that there's so much variability with it. One, you're drawing from a bag, random tiles. Another thing is that every player starts with a random starting player. You get different resources. 2, the Altiplanos, or 3, the Altiplanos can be changed any which way. So they can be placed next to one another, in one game, and then it could be placed on a different end of the game. So these different Altiplano locations are different in every single game. So there's just so much variability in this game. You should definitely follow the path of what your character starts off with, but it doesn't limit you. I've played this game, I don't know, like maybe 6 times already. I've taught it several times, and yeah, I really love this game. I think I've won all but one time. So I just really love exploring this game and managing all my resources, digging into my bag, pulling out all these tokens, seeing that there's an alpaca, and loving the whole game all over again. So another thing to note is that you should definitely put googly eyes on your first player marker because it's adorable. And so yeah, the absolute ridiculousness of that first player marker just makes the game so much more interesting and fun. And yeah, I just really love this game. I can totally just recommend this game to anyone. I think you should definitely try it out. It's a game worth having if you have Orleans. I think it has a little bit more of a difference in it with the variability of the player boards and the locations. It's different enough to get. So in my opinion, if you like Orleans, you'll like Altiplano. If you don't like Orleans, don't even bother with Altiplano. But yeah, I think they're both worth having if you like one. So definitely loved Altiplano. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I knew this was going to be a long video, but I really appreciate it that you stuck here with me. And if you like, please hit subscribe and like, and also definitely leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite game was this past month, or what you picked up too. Also, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all as Nettersplays, or you can even donate a few bucks to me in coffee.com. I'll leave all the links below and also at the end of the video. So, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!